On the call by the head coach at Monmouth, Kevin Callahan. Good morning, Coach Cal.
Good morning, Rob. How are you?
I'm
Excuse me.
good. As Coach Santos was saying, you've been doing this a long time, making history or doing something you've never done before. Probably doesn't happen a whole lot, but man, oh my, what a comeback! The biggest in program history on Friday night. Just talk about the game and how proud you are of your guys of being able to pull that off.
I hope it doesn't happen very many more times. I can tell you that. We got off to an incredibly slow start, which is uncharacteristic for us, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. We dug a 24-point hole for ourselves at the halftime, and that in the first possession of the second half, that went up. It was 31-7, and I think when we look back at it, we moved the ball on offense, but uncharacteristically, we threw four interceptions in the first half. Three of them were in the end zone, and defensively, we gave up some big plays. But I can tell you this: the halftime attitude in the locker room was something that I've never seen before. It was very serious, yet very confident and very matter of fact. And to a man, to a player on our team, they were just saying, "Okay, coach, we got this. Let's just go play Monmouth football." In the second half, we came out and we had five consecutive drives that resulted in touchdowns. And actually, the sixth drive was when we ran 5 minutes off the clock to end the game. We started making some plays on defense. Derek started playing like the great player that he is. And then I think we stopped him on 5 of 6 possessions in the second half on down. So, the guys really flipped the script, and it was a great to come away with a win. And it didn't look like we were going to at the half.
What
Some of our guys on offense, we had three receivers that went over 100 yards, and Gavin Nelson and Josh Derry and TJ Spate all had terrific days. I think they combined for 20 catches between them. A running game, Rodney Nelson had the 190. We rushed for 191 yards total. I think Rodney had 169. So the MVP is probably Mrs. Nelson on this week, but she had a great day there. But it was just great to get the win and come off be 1-0.
what can you attribute? You said with a different kind of atmosphere in your locker room at half, and then again, even still in midway through the third quarter, things weren't looking great, and all of a sudden, as you said, you kind of kicked in the gear. What do you attribute that ability, that will on the sideline, or that confidence to?
Well, I think it's just our players showed a tremendous amount of resolve. They knew we were a better team than what we had put up. We were moving the ball offensively. We were starting to get some stops on defense. We just weren't getting paid for it, and we weren't getting the reward. So, once it started clicking, I think we hit a big pass play that got us going to Gavin Nelson. And then from there, just the belief on the sideline was that they can't stop us, and we're going to score every time, every possession we have. And we were getting ourselves off the field on defense. It was really the story of, and I would say two different halves, but it was really a quarter and a half in 2.5 quarters. Just thrilled to get the win under those circumstances. And it's not the type of game you want to play every week, I can tell you that.
Well, what was the mindset? Derek throws, as you touched on earlier, the four picks in the first half. I'm going to guess that's never happened to him before in his career.
Never. I mean, I think he threw six all of last season in 12 games. And he
Yeah.
threw
So
four in the first half of this week's game. And, I'll give Colgate a lot of credit. Two of them were great plays by their defender, who made a great play on the ball and went and got it. One was a one-handed catch. Another one was probably not the best decision on Derek's part. He tried to fit the ball into a very tight window. There was a combination of different things, but he knew he was playing well. He never got down. He was always upbeat. We were moving the ball. We knew eventually things would break for us and we would get the points.
obviously, Gavin was the guy that was the player of the week and had the three long passes. But as you said in your opening comments, he had three receivers over 100 yards. How challenging does that make it for opposing defenses when you've got so many guys that have the ability to put up numbers like that?
Well, I think it would be very challenging. I think coming into the game, the guys that you got your eye on are probably TJ Spate and Josh Derry,
Mm.
guys who both had over 60 catches for us a year ago. And then Gavin Nelson comes out on the scene and has five catches for 160, 175 yards, I think. Some very big plays. And then Trey Neal's another one of our receivers. He contributed another five catches. So that's quite a formidable group we have there, and we can go to any guy at any time. And I'll tell you, that's what keeps the receivers kind of in tune to what's going on offensively. They know at any time the ball could be coming their way. It doesn't matter if they're in the initial progression or not. And, Derek sees the field so extremely well that the ball is going to go to the open guy.
And then, as you mentioned as well, with all the big passing plays and big passing numbers, it's easy to kind of forget the night that Rodney had as your lead back. It was pretty good. How did you feel like he handled the moment?
He handled it extremely well. He was our back that I think he had 22 carries for maybe 170, 169 yards, something like that, 2 touchdowns. He had a long run at 75. And, I think that, as we got going in the game, as we started opening up things in the passing game, Rodney had more opportunities carrying the ball, and he made every one of them count.
But let's switch to the other side. Defensively, the first half probably didn't go the way you'd like, and there had to have been some questions in your mind. But those guys, what kind of maybe gets lost in that comeback was the fact that you got a number of stops to be able to keep them from adding to that total to allow your offense to get back in it. What was the biggest change from the first to the second half in your mind?
I think we just settled down at the second half and started playing better football. I mean, we go out to start the second half, and the first drive they go down and score to go up 31-7, and really from that point on, we really firmed up on the defensive side. We started making plays. We turned them over. We stopped them on downs. We came up with some really pressure stops in the red zone. And I think our guys, with each stop, they started believing more and more and more. There's some new faces in that unit, and I think maybe it took a while for that group to come together and solidify things. But I was very happy with the way they finished.
Jaden Jones was statistically the guy that kind of jumped out, 11 tackles and a TFL. Who among the defenders were you impressed with on Friday?
Well, as you mentioned, Jaden had a really good day, as did Justin Bennon, who's another one of our safeties. The young guy that really jumped out was Lamont Lester. Lamont Lester plays the defensive end position for us. I think he was in 6 tackles. He had a tackle for loss. He had a sack. He had, I think, 3 more quarterback hurries. Really did an outstanding job of putting pressure on the quarterback all night long, and really was good to see, because it was the first significant amount of playing time that he's received. He's only in his second year with us right now.
Let's look ahead to this Saturday. You're back on the road facing a Fordham team. A big loss at Boston College, but obviously an ACC member. As you've started to look at the film, what are some of the challenges that they present for you?
Well, the biggest thing is it's hard to quantify, what type of team Fordham is and who they really are. They played a Power 4 team in Boston College, and we have to really look at what they did rather than how they did it, because, they were playing up a level, and our players know that personally we all have to make a lot of improvement on our own end, and that's where our focus is right now. Fordham, it's a team that we're familiar with. We played them last year. They've got 5 starters returning on the defensive side, and they're led by their linebacker, number 48, who's a consensus All-American. I think he's their career leader in tackles with over 450. They've got a very good defensive lineman in number 90, Robinson, who's a 3-year starter for them, 2-time All-Patriot League player, strong, physical, very difficult to block. And in the back end, they've got a safety in number 14, Kemper, who kind of anchors the back end, and he kind of seems to be their leader. So, we're going to have to be on top of our game offensively. We're going to have to present some challenges for them, and hopefully we're up to that task. But on the other side of the ball, their offense is a veteran unit. The quarterback is a well-traveled transfer. I think he played at South Florida, Central Florida, Hutchinson Community College most recently. He's a big athlete, a strong arm. He's mobile. And then they use a lot of different receivers too. I think they use 5 or 6 different receivers in the game, very talented with good speed. The running backs are all 210 plus pounds. So it's something that, we're going to have to be on top of our game in all phases. Their offensive line is also one of the bigger we'll see this year. I think they average 6'4", 310 or 315 pounds. And on the defensive front 7, we're a little bit on the smallish side. So I think we've got some challenges there. But I've always told our team that the biggest improvement any team makes is between week 1 and week 2. You go out in week 1, you find out what your deficiencies are, you go to work, you try to improve those areas. And if you do a good job of coaching that up and improvement, your second game is really when you start to see what you're all about. And I hope that we improve in the right areas this week.
All right, Coach Cal.